topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
This is Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. Do you want to live a more fulfilling life? Do you want to live your legacy and achieve your personal, professional, and financial goals? Well, coming up on Divya Parekh's Beyond Confidence, you will hear real stories of leaders, entrepreneurs, and achievers who have stepped into discomfort, shattered their status quo, and are living the life they want. You will learn how relationships are the key to achieving your aspirations and financial goals. Moving your career or business forward does not have to happen at the expense of your personal or family life, or vice versa. Learn more at www.divyaparekh.com, and you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. This is Beyond Confidence, and now here's your host, Divya Parekh.
Good morning, listeners. Hope you all had good holidays. Happy New Year. We are in 2025, and I sincerely feel that something's in the air and 2025 is going to be great. So, what are your goals? I'm not going to ask your resolutions, just goals for the year where you have something in sight. So it's really, really important to have those goals in sight. And as we usually talk about kindness, I do want to share a story. So one of our audience and listeners, Marcel, she shared with us that she has got a couple of kids and she was running late. She was late to get to the airport and there was a huge line. And what was amazing was that when she reached, there was a long line. I mean, of course, that's not amazing, but so she talked with one agent. There are agents who are helping, and the person was like, oh, you should have got here on time, and didn't say anything. And then she saw another person who was smiling at everyone, very kind. She reached out to that person and said that, could you please help me get through this line? I know I'm late. And that person walked her through, and she was able to catch her flight to get home for holidays. So kindness is there. And for those of you who are looking to achieve those goals, even if you're looking to have those resolutions, and remember those resolutions, only 92% fail. Yeah, only 92% fail. And why am I saying that? Because it's very, very common, and only 8% get the resolutions achieved. So if you want to achieve your resolution, both of our books will do that. Make sure that you get our books and help other entrepreneurs, because part of the profits go to that. And your well-being is super important. And that's why we have got Sonny with us today, who's going to be sharing with us a very unique way to get your health on track. Welcome, Sonny.
Thank you very much for having me, and Happy New Year to you and to your audience. And I have some very interesting things to share with your audience. The story starts when I was a child. I was crippled with a case of childhood asthma, and I was setting school records for days out and illness. And I was introduced to a woman Filipino chiropractor who taught me yoga, breathing, relaxation, and stretching exercises. And after suffering for 5 years with the asthma, I was cured within a couple of months of doing a regular routine of breathing, relaxing, getting into the flow, stretching exercises to loosen my upper body and to learn how to breathe diaphragmatically. After I was cured, I realized from doing the exercises and the techniques that I had something here. So I kept on doing it. And practically overnight, I went from a kid that couldn't walk up a flight of steps to a champion baseball and track runner, cross-country runner, no less. And I went on to win the captain and MVP awards. Went on to Delphi on a track scholarship. And the piano, same thing, was interesting why I got into it, because I wrote a book called Sonny's Piano Yoga. Why piano yoga? Because my father was learning the piano when I was born, so my earliest memories are falling asleep in the crib, listening to him practice Mozart's sonatinas. And my whole side of the family, everybody played the piano, everybody played the guitar, everybody played instruments. So thus I was inspired to play the piano. So what happened was eventually I went on to teach yoga, stress management, meditation, after I came out of Adelphi, and I went on to play gigs in restaurants and clubs. Thus, what happened with the piano yoga was I eventually always loved video, was a pioneer in the video thing. I started making video tours of my pianos for sale and put them out online before there was a YouTube. And suddenly I was selling pianos, not just locally in Sayville, where I had my school, but I was selling pianos worldwide. Why? Because I was one of the first guys to use video to market my business. So now I'm selling pianos worldwide. And talk about transforming your life. I went from a little small music school, a piano store, to a nationwide and eventually a worldwide internet piano business. Again, one of the first. So from there, it just kept morphing. And now I've written a book about this whole story, but also how to play the piano instantly with little or no sheet music, and based on just breathing, relaxing, getting into the flow. So it's a totally different paradigm for playing the piano. It's not a matter of spending years studying time signatures, learning how to read, and practicing. I have so many different approaches to playing the piano here. Like I tell people, don't practice, play the piano. What?
All right. So that's you've had a wonderful life journey, Sonny. So tell us as to how did you happen on piano yoga?
The piano yoga thing came as a result of my background also in teaching yoga and meditation, stress management, and playing the piano. So why did I call it a piano yoga? People used to ask me, Sonny, they used to see me play, they go, show me how to play. But I don't want to learn how to read. I don't want to spend years studying time signatures. Show me something quick. So I got to thinking that people, there was a whole, I would say most people don't want to sit down and spend years studying time signatures and learning to read. They just want to sit down and play. So I started developing little exercises and techniques to show them. And before long, I realized that if you just sit down at the piano, you don't have to learn to read. You could just sit down and start playing. The piano is so easy to play. In fact, if you can get around on a computer keyboard, you already know how to play the piano because you already have the eye-hand coordination and intuition to play. So I started giving lessons in how to do this. And before I knew it, I had a whole philosophy based on my background and on how to play the piano. Because I had the studio right here where I was able to teach. And also just in the video tours, I was always giving people tips on how to play the piano quickly without learning to read. So thus it became called piano yoga, Sonny's Piano Yoga. And there's nothing like it out there. Most of the methods on YouTube, they're still trying to teach you the old way of doing it, just fun, easy, not fun, but more easy ways. My approach is totally fun. It's based on mindfulness, being in the here and now. And also it's very similar to sound bath therapy. In other words, look at the piano from a totally different perspective. Instead of something you got to master and you got to suffer to play, it's something that it's just magical. It's healing. In other words, you can just sit at the piano and noodle around. It's not about playing perfectly. It's about enjoying yourself. It's about having fun, taking your time. And this is necessary because right now, less and less people are playing the piano because they think that, again, the kids think they got to study, they got to practice. They don't want to do that. They just want to sit down. And you can just sit down. And even if you want to play songs, you could learn a few chord patterns. And once you learn a couple chord patterns, away you go. So anybody could play. All you got to do is sit down.
Let's say our audience wants to get started.
Okay.
And so walk us through, because you say that, anybody, and especially like, for a person like me, I don't have a ear for the musical sound. You mentioned that anybody can play instantly. So tell us how we can go about that.
Okay. Well, one of the things right away, I would, let's say I was teaching you. One of the things I would say to you is that we all have musical ability. It's a myth that you have to have musical talent to play an instrument. You don't have to have musical talent. It's not about being the best. It's about enjoying yourself. It's a matter of who you're playing for. You're playing for you. So people sit down at the piano right away. They think, "Oh, that sounds terrible." Well, people tell them when they're kids, you have no talent. Don't even waste your time. What are they talking about? The piano, just like sound bath therapy, gives off certain frequencies that are very healing. So the idea that you might think that you have no ability, no talent, not true. It's just that you weren't exposed to the opportunity to sit down at a piano. So what I tell people to do right away is once they get away from the fear that they'll be laughed at, or the fear that they're no good, or the fear that they have no talent. Once they get away from the fear, there is no fear. That's why I call it the breathe, relax, flow, and enjoy mindfulness method. You just the whole concept is to just sit at the piano, breathe, relax. It's a form of meditation. It's an energy box. So try to just step away from, I can't hit the wrong note. It's got none of that. It's all about playing your music. And if you want, I could show you chords. But basically, I just tell people to sit down at the piano. And what I usually do is tell them to just play the black notes and just flow along. I call it the black note flow lesson. So if you can get to a keyboard or a piano, it's preferable to have a piano, because the piano is made of wood and cotton and metal. And that is like in itself draws the life force energy, draws the chi. It increases your chi. The piano is just like something it's just starting to be seen as a meditative device and tool. So what I would tell people to do, and I would say to you, would be, okay, just sit down, breathe, relax, just stretch a little bit, do a little, loosen up. And we're just going to play the black notes. Instead of looking at this as C sharp, that's A minor, this is a B, forget about that. Look at it as black notes and the white notes. And we're just going to play the black notes right now. We're going to hold the damper pedal. The damper pedal makes the sound last. So if you hold the pedal, I'm not sure how well you could hear it over the Zoom, but you hear it? So I would just say, why I call the black note flow lesson is because just going to play the black notes and we're just going to flow. So I would tell you to do this. Walk up the keyboard. Get familiar with the keyboard. Walk down the keyboard. Just get to know it. Have fun. Just play. And when you play just the black notes, you're in the key of C sharp, and everything comes together. There's nothing that sounds off. So after you play single notes, you can play a few notes at a time. You get this kind of fat sound. And again, breathe, relax, very meditative, very calming, very soothing, relaxing. And now what happens, and don't think in terms of, oh, that I don't know what I'm doing. It doesn't sound right. I'm not sure. Forget about all that. Just sit, relax, breathe. And what happens is that after about 15 minutes of doing this, your brain starts to release dopamine and beta endorphins. And those are the feel-good chemicals in your brain. And that makes you feel happy. So after a while, it pulls you into almost a meditative state, especially if you don't sit there and go, oh, I got to play. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't, I'm not hitting the wrong note. Does this sound okay? Get the judgment, the analyzing out of the way, just like meditation. You sit to meditate, the whole idea is to empty your mind, not to think, not to analyze, not to worry. It's a totally different approach. I call it Sonny's Piano Yoga, because it's based on yoga principles of breathing and relaxing and getting into the flow. And I've been teaching breathe, relax, flow formula all my life through different modalities. I was teaching it through sports. I would run sports clinics where I would go to the schools and I would teach the athletes how to breathe diaphragmatically. And as soon as they started breathing diaphragmatically, like let's say runners are always going like this, breathing high chest breathers. As soon as they would breathe from the belly, this, they would instantly improve performance. In fact, I taught this as stress management, and I taught this in the schools called the Classroom Fitness. If you just breathe, relax, and flow, no matter what you do, it's going to flow easier. It's going to happen. You're going to have more fun because it pulls you into the present moment. So after you're doing this, so then you can just make like it just comes together after a while. So now what you've done here by doing this is not only are you starting to relax and it creates a meditative state, but you're starting to improvise. Because what are you doing? You're not trying to do anything. It's just letting it happen. You're being in the moment and you're actually just being very creative and improvising. And creativity is very important for us all. My friend and teacher Connie Crothers used to say that creativity is a biological function. Creativity is a biological function. It's necessary to be creative to express our feelings, release our feelings in a positive, productive way. So whether it be the piano, writing, painting, singing. Singing is very overlooked, because as soon as, that's another thing, you can just sit and sing, and people are so afraid to sing. Oh, I can't carry a tune. Oh, people tell me I sound, who cares? Singing is releasing emotion. It's, I'm singing, breathing, I'm letting go, chanting and singing, very similar. Or how about, and this is all great for releasing tension and stress. Also, we're walking around with varying degrees of stress and tension and anxiety. Just sit down an instrument, sing. If you're feeling sad, it's a great way of releasing some blue feelings. You're feeling energetic. Well, sit down and just do anything.
Talk about the black notes first. What's the next step? Like How do we transition from the black notes to the white notes?
Okay. Now you can do the same thing. And I have this in the book. I have these lessons outlined and how to do them. And also, this book is again, very innovative. It incorporates videos. This is called an interactive book, and that means that it has video links, and the paperback has QR codes. So, like for the Black Note Flow lesson, I talk about it, but then just like what I'm doing now, you could see the video of me showing you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So after the Black Note Flow lesson, then we have the White Note Flow lesson. You can do the same thing in the white notes, and it's a different tone, different sound, different feeling. Just flow, noodle around, just have a good time. Because we all have, well, that's what this book teaches you too. It teaches you how to connect to the musician within. You got the inner athlete, you got an inner musician. We all, because every second, there's a whole symphony going on inside of us. The blood is whooshing, the heart is beating. I mean, the cells there's the electricity going through the cells. So we have a whole symphony. In fact, this meditation technique that you stick your fingers in your ears and you just listen for the sounds. But we have this musician within that if you stop thinking and you stop analyzing and you stop worrying, you can connect to that musician within. In fact, there's some scientists have postulated and done research that every song we ever heard is still stored in our subconscious. Okay, so let me say that again. Every piece of music you ever heard is in your head. So if you, again, get out of the way, because the main thing is to get out of your own way. If you get out of your own way, you can access that music. And if you are open and just breathing, relaxing, not thinking, all of a sudden you're just noodling around, and those songs will start coming out of you. You know, I mean, you know, themes like this theme. That's Bach's Toccata. I think it's a C minor. I never looked at the sheet music for that. I was noodling around one day, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait. Or even just simple melodies like this. You're playing, or suddenly this pops out. Who said you can't play the piano? Everybody can play the piano. We got all this music inside of us. We have this musician within. You just sit down. It's going to come out of you. Just sit down. And also, you can't just sit for 2 minutes and go, you know what that is? That's the resistance factor. We all have this resistance factor in us. We can't do it. I can't do it. Oh, no, I'm afraid. What are you afraid of? Relax. Enjoy yourself. And so you have to sit there long enough for the dopamine and the beta endorphins to start flowing. Just doesn't matter what you're doing. Just sit, and it'll happen. It'll flow. It's just the whole. That's what I mean about it. It's a different approach to playing the piano. Just sit and play, have fun. Don't be perfect. Don't analyze. Just sit. See what happens. It will happen. I guarantee you, it will happen. There are many great musicians and piano players that never learned to read, never took a lesson. They took this approach. I had many students of mine that just came in, and I explained this to them like that, and like that. They got it. And suddenly they're sitting there going, and they're composing. I had other students that studied with me for a longer period of time without sheet music. They're just playing. They like classical music. All of a sudden, there's like symphonies coming out of them, just connecting. A lot of autistic kids have this access to that part of the brain. And that's where you see these great autistic kids. They never take lessons. They're sitting down. They hear a Chopin piece. They play that Chopin piece. I have a nephew who's autistic. He was, he hears something, he can sit down and do it. So you hear that kind of thing. Oh, my grandmother played by ear. She never learned. Yeah, well, and also in the old way of looking at things, playing by ear, you don't know what you're doing. What do you mean you don't know what you're doing? Or playing it differently. How about that? I can't make a mistake. I got to play it perfectly. What's a mistake? That you played a note differently? No. There's no mistakes. You just say, within certain idioms, like if you want to play classical music and you want to play it the way it's written, which, by the way, I feel the composers never expected us to play it perfectly the way it was written. My feeling is that whether it be Chopin, Liszt, one of the greatest improvisers of all time, he never played the same piece twice. Like if Chopin would give him a piece of music to play, he was an incredible musician. He would read it perfectly the first time. He would never play it the same way twice. He was an improviser. He wanted to do it his way. And he was just an incredible improviser. So who says, even with classical music, that you got to play it perfectly? All right, well, that's an idiom. But if you choose to do that, okay, well, you're going to spend 5-10 hours a day practicing the piano. And you're going to have to, do that approach. But I'm saying that you don't have to take that approach. There's more ways to get to the top of the mountain than I have to learn sheet music and read and play classical music.
Right, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Sonny, there are a lot of people who may not have space for piano because piano does take up a lot of room. And I get what you're saying. It is made of wood. It is made of, the life force it brings chi. But some people may not have the space or the money to buy that piano. What would you recommend for them?
These electric keyboards are a lot of fun. I have one sitting here. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah. Right there. They're a lot of fun, and they'll get you started. When I had the school downstairs, most of the parents would buy a $100 keyboard for the kids, and it would get them started. But after a while, sooner or later, this piano here is a small console piano. This is only 57 inches wide and maybe 30 inches long this way. So it's like that and like that. So this doesn't take up much space. The keyboards don't take up much space. You could go to your local church, your local school. You can go to a friend's house. You can go to somebody else's house to play the piano. Because why I encourage people to play the piano is that, and by the way, pianos, especially these kind of pianos, today in America are very, not just very affordable, they are, people are giving them away. So, because if let's say they're moving, they have this piano, they tried to sell it, they can't, what are they going to do with it? They give it away for free. So if you go on Facebook Marketplace or something like that, you could pick up this kind of piano for a few $100s. So it's very affordable. Then you could call a local piano mover, and for a couple $100, they'll bring it to your house. Then you get a tune, $100. For under $500, you got a wonderful piano in your house. So there's a whole new way of acquiring a piano. But
can you tell us a little bit more about, you said console piano, like tell a little bit, like, when people are going and looking for that piano, and I know you also sell those pianos. So if you can share with us, what they're looking for, what brand or something like that. And also
Sure.
Yeah, a little bit
more.
Well,
of course, I buy and sell these kind of pianos, and I ship them nationwide. I actually mostly was specializing in Steinway grands, and I was shipping those worldwide. I've shipped Steinways of the pianos all over every state in the country and half the countries in the world. The last Steinway I had went to Abu Dhabi. I've sent them to India. I've sent them to Taiwan, China, Vietnam, South America, Canada. I got a call from a guy the other day. 20 years ago, I sold him a piano in Alaska. He called me up. He gave it to his kids. He wants to buy another piano from me. So, that said, you can get you asked me how to get a console. Was that what you're saying? I forgot. Divya?
No,
You asked me
Hmm?
how to get a console, right? How to get a console.
Yeah.
Right. So Facebook Marketplace and would be one place. You go to your local piano store, and they have a lot of really nice pianos too. These kind of pianos are very affordable. The American-made pianos were made a little bit by hand, and they're different than the Asian-made pianos. A lot of those are mass-produced, and they're not made of the same materials. This wood was aged and seasoned. This is a Baldwin. Even though it's from the 70s, it's still great. Age is not always relative. There's so many, even somebody called me up and they had a Baldwin grand piano recently, and they wanted to sell it to me for like $500. So, I mean, new, it would be $5,000, $10,000. Used market, you can get things very easily. But I sell them nationwide. Also, I buy and sell them. So if they wanted to contact me, either with to buy one, or if they found one locally and they want to ask me whether or not it's worth it, and to tell them a little bit about the brand and what they might do, I'm always available on the phone to talk to people. I love talking about pianos. I love helping people hook up to great pianos. So if you call me, I'm sure I can help you. And I have friends and dealers and contacts all over the country. So even if I'm on Long Island, New York, you're in Los Angeles, I have a lot of friends and dealers I could send you to. I have a buddy in Georgia, a world-class pianist, Dan Wilson. He's got a couple of stores down there. He's got all kinds of pianos. Florida, wherever you are, I can help you hook up to a nice piano at whatever price is reasonable for you. So that said, everyone can get a piano today. They're very affordable. And I think the idea is for you to just start playing one. Get access to one, and it'll make a difference. But the reason, again, start with a keyboard if you want, because they're a lot of fun on a different level. This has that life force energy thing going on. The keyboards, it's more in your ear, but you can have a lot of fun sounds in there. So they have, instead of just the piano, you have bells, chimes, voices, you have drums, you have flutes. So that's fun in its own way. But I encourage you, get a keyboard, just have fun. It'll add a dimension to your life. You'll look forward to coming home to play the piano. The piano is like a best friend. It wants to make you happy. And every time you sit down at it, it just, you learn more. And so piano is like a friend. It's always there for you. It'll never abandon you. It's there with you. If you feel sad, happy, glad, you come home, there's the piano. You can sit down and have a few minutes of joy and happiness. Before you leave for work in the morning, you sit down. Before you go to bed at night. Soothing, very relaxing, makes you happy, joyful. On different levels too. Grieving, sadness. I lost both my parents, my dog and my cat, in 1 year.
Sorry to hear that.
And just that, my stepfather. But life is such. But the piano has helped me cope. The piano has helped me with the grieving process, because I was able to sit down and play a lot of music relative to my father. I always loved this song. I used to play this all the time.
Right.
And it always brings your spirits up too. My teacher used to say all the time that when she was a kid, her family noticed that whenever she played the piano, it would improve her mood. So they went out and got her a piano. I have people calling me up from all over the country. The children have autism or various depressive states and stuff. Even when I had my school downstairs, people would come bring the kids in with various problems. They start playing the piano, and all of a sudden, because they've seen through research that the piano is very helpful for organizing the brain and also for just for improving math scores and science scores, because it's something about the music and the beta endorphins, the dopamine. It's so positive that no people are not looking at it from this perspective. Retirement, keeping the brain happy. There's a research study that was done a while back that if you learn new skills as you get older, your brain doesn't go through a lot of that slowing down process. Well, guess what? The guy who headed up that research study, after he finished that in California, the first thing he did was call me up and buy a Steinway piano from me, because he always meant to play the piano. He was in his 60s. He felt his brain slowing down a little bit. He bought the piano, and he wrote back to me years later. He just loves the piano. It's just helping him tremendously. So I could go on all day on the benefits of the piano.
Yeah, this is very powerful, Sonny. So let's say, we're nearing to the end of our show. Thank you for sharing all the details. And as you mentioned, creativity is an integral part of that relaxation, and music is universal. So if people wanted to call you or reach out to you, what's a good way to connect with you?
Either through my website, sonnyspianoyoga.com, or they could just call me directly, 631-235-7228, or they could email me. It's Sonny's, and all that is on the website. So if they go to the website, sonnyspianoyoga.com, and they can also purchase the book, Sonny's Piano Yoga. All my contact information is in here. This is on Amazon. It just came out, and they could purchase this on my website too. So play that piano. Be happy. Enjoy. Breathe, relax, flow, and enjoy with everything you do in life, and you'll enjoy things a lot more. You'll be a lot happier. And thank you for having me. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And what a way to get our new year started, right, folks? Start with music, build that creativity. Thank you, Sonny, for joining us and sharing with us how we can play piano even if we don't.
Thank you. The time went so fast. That was amazing. Thank you. I really enjoyed being with you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Pleasure. Okay.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you, dear listeners, for joining us, because without you, the show would not be possible. Reach out to us. Let us know how we can support you, help you make this 2025 the year that you want to be. And thank you, Juan, for making this so technically possible. Take care and be well.
Thank you for being part of Beyond Confidence with your host, Divya Parekh. We hope you have learned more about how to start living the life you want. Each week on Beyond Confidence, you hear stories of real people who have experienced growth by overcoming their fears and building meaningful relationships. During Beyond Confidence, Divya Parekh shares what happened to her when she stepped out of her comfort zone to work directly with people across the globe. She not only coaches people how to form heart connections, but also transform relationships to mutually beneficial partnerships as they strive to live the life they want. If you are ready to live the life you want and leverage your strengths, learn more at www.divyaparekh.com. And you can connect with Divya at contact@divyaparekh.com. We look forward to you joining us next week.